Martha Alderson here again, the Plot Whisperer, and we are on our Monday morning book group, plot book group, and the book that we've been working on this month for November is The Alchemist. And so we've been talking about energetic markers. I just don't think you can stress energetic markers enough, because if you understand these markers and how they support you in developing your whole entire plot, if you know what these 4 essential markers are, you can sort of fill in the missing blanks along the way. It just becomes a little more easy than trying to, develop it all and not really know what you're headed for. So the markers are sort of like signposts saying, you're coming up to this next one, get prepared. Once you're there, you sort of know where the energy's going and what to do next. So today is the crisis. The crisis is the transformational moment, or the potential for transformation. So it's huge. Every story has one. It sort of can depend on where it falls, depending on the genre. For a lot of really high action, dramatic action stories, the crisis can hit closer to the climax, which is at the very end of the last scene or chapter before the end of the book is the climax. And the crisis can come closer to that than what I'm going to talk about today. Because for most stories, the crisis hits around 3/4 of the way through the book. So the energy has been rising. All of a sudden, the protagonist gets hit with something that really sort of sends them to their knees. They sort of learn more about themselves. They get the abilities that they need in order to prevail in the climax. So in our story, The Alchemist, there is a crisis that happens. It happens after he has arrived at the oasis. If you remember that from last week, where at the halfway point he is at the oasis. Well, at the oasis, he meets the love of his life. He meets a girl that he just falls head over heels in love with, which is the romance or romantic plot line. And almost every single story has a romantic plot line. It could be that the romance plot line has to do with friendship or co-workers, but there's always that relationship plot line. So for this book to have it, obviously really hits the mark, and it speaks to people. So he finds his love, and his greatest conflict and the crisis comes because in order for him to go after his dream, he has to leave the girl of his dreams. So he's in mortal conflict. What do I do? Do I stay with this person who fulfills me, or do I keep following a dream? The dream, there's no guarantee of success. He doesn't know if he's going to ever find his treasure. He doesn't know if he's ever going to succeed. So he's giving up something that's there in the flesh and blood that he loves for the complete unknown. And that becomes his crisis. What do I do in that situation? And so he has to decide, if he doesn't go, if he stays, what will happen to his heart? Although he'll be filled with romantic love for this woman, his heart will start to die because he's allowed his dream to die. So he is stripped of everything. Nowhere is clear. He doesn't know which way to go, and that then symbolizes the crisis. So I want you to think about your own story. Try to think about 3/4 of the way through the project. Is there a moment where the protagonist is sent to her knees, and it's the dark night of the soul, and there's a breakdown in order for a breakthrough, and it's where the energy is at its highest, and everything is at its very worst. So even though the energy is at its highest, which is why on the plot planner it's so high, for the protagonist it's the darkest moment of the entire book. Once you find it, put it up on your plot planner. If you need more support, my book, The Plot Whisperer, Chapter 10, speaks totally about this crisis because it's such an important marker in your book. So if you need more, there's a lot more about the crisis on my blog, The Plot Whisperer. There's a lot more about the crisis in my other YouTube series, How Do I Plot a Novel, Memoir, or Screenplay. So there's lots of resources available to you, and great good luck. I'll see you next Monday. Thanks.